this story caught my attention, and looking at it, at first, it seemed pretty nice, but there's always that little insidious actions that are kind of put into this article. Daniel, I think it's
certain time? One of these times?
Tulsi time. There we go. She's not surfing. But
hey, she was surfing yesterday.
Yeah,
she can surf today.
She's walking and then going surfing after. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, there, and that's why I love our graphics. And you guys, our viewers and subscribers, made it happen. So, this is an article from all places, CNN. Tulsi Gabbard winning Trump supporters in New Hampshire. She's getting a lot of support from libertarians, non-voters, people who are conservative, people who just don't get involved in American politics. Now, just because we're so used to smear articles, this article looks like, at least in theory, a positive article. And it's describing how, there's a lot of voters who would say that they would support Trump, or they used to support Trump, or they never cared for voting at all, or they normally don't care for Democrats or Republicans. And, you're hearing why they're considering supporting Tulsi Gabbard. And the article also brings into attention that she is actually gaining a lot of momentum and support in New Hampshire, as it is a key primary state. And so far, she's polling very well in that state. Just in regards to looking at this, let me just make sure I have the correct information here. Within New Hampshire right now, she is leading in many of the polls. And a Quinnipiac poll released in November found that among likely Democratic primary voters, Gabbard's is the first choice for 10% of voters who self-identify as independent and 9% of those who identify as moderate or conservative. That standing in New Hampshire explains why Tulsi Gabbard has made that state her focal point. And she's already gaining a lot of momentum. She's been holding a lot of events there. And since she decided not to participate in the 6th Democratic debate stage, she has basically been holding a lot of rallies and events and town halls all across New Hampshire. I've been following her on social media, and it's been pretty impressive in regards to the massive turnouts that are coming towards her event. So why is this a problem, especially with the CNN article on the way it's describing it? Well, it's kind of describing Trump, at least Tulsi Gabbard supporters, as just predominantly Republican, Trump supporters, libertarians, moderate independents, or people who are, I guess, non-voters at all. And it's kind of making them seem like, oh, well, that's all who's supporting Tulsi Gabbard. When in fact, in reality, Tulsi Gabbard has a lot of support on the left amongst Democrats, liberals, socialists, Greens, or left-leaning independents. She has a large coalition. And I think in many ways, the Democratic Party needs to stop, including the establishment media needs to stop, take a step back and look at what Tulsi Gabbard is able to effectively do. And that is build a large coalition of voters. In the general election, whoever the candidate is, in the Democrat and Republican nominees, whoever they are, the main goal that they need to do is earn a person's vote, no matter what their affiliation is. And Tulsi Gabbard is building that kind of coalition. Paul, Daniel, take it away.
This is the kind of story you came in today and said, hey, did you guys look at this story I put in the show notes? It seems like a really positive story. It's weird that it came out of CNN. And I'm sitting there going, the headline is going to be read very differently by middle of the road, Democratic, vote blue no matter who centrists. They're going to say, how dare she try to win over the support of Republicans? The only Republicans whose support we want are the millionaire donor class, right? The centrist Republicans who want to continue to spend all of the money on war and prop up all of big business. We don't want the support of anti-interventionists. We don't want the support of people who have different ideas about that. We don't want the support of the libertarian right, because that's a big no-no. That should be shamed, because you know what? Republicans are all deplorables. So if you're winning Republican support in the Democratic primary and showing that you have wide, large constituencies of people that support you, that's a big no-no. We need to win Republican support only from the center business class, only from the fiscal conservative, let's have the supply side economics. Let's make sure we have this trickle down stuff. That's the way we want to win the Republican support. But if you want to talk about not going to war, we don't want that. So we would look at this and go, boy, this sounds pretty nice. She's
in
winning.
Theory, it sounded nice.
Right. She's winning the support of people that otherwise would not even take a second look at any Democratic nominee.
But all of them are saying that she is their first choice. Like, they're acknowledging, like, Tulsi Gabbard is their first choice. But I mean, at the same time, too, CNN is making it seem like, oh my God, this is all who Tulsi Gabbard's attracting to her campaign, when in fact that's not true at all. Right. Daniel.
Yeah. So to Paul's point, isn't this is what the Democrats have, like, I remember in 2016, hey, you can't vote for Bernie Sanders. He's not going to get enough Republicans. Remember, we can't go for progressives here. We have to get those suburban Republican moms in Ohio because that's how we're going to win. So by the Democratic Party's own admission, they want to get Republicans. Kind of makes sense. If you get Republicans on your side, you win more votes. In fact, I would almost count a Republican flip as 2 votes because it's 1 less vote for a Republican, 1 more for a Democrat. So Bernie Sanders does this very well. In Vermont, he gets about 30% of Republican votes. And if I'm not mistaken, in very narrow elections where stuff has already been pretty gerrymandered, getting 5% of the Republican vote basically gets you the nominee. So Tulsi Gabbard is in New Hampshire. She's getting independents. She's getting Republicans, which we should be talking about, which we should be happy about, which the Democratic Party is supposedly wants, unless it's from a I think it's not even the stuff we're talking about. I think that the question, we're looking at it incorrectly. We're looking at it from the point of view of, hey, what's the most effective way to have a path for a candidate to win and win really well? When the CNNs of the world, these people,
The Democratic Party.
Democratic Party's point of view is Tulsi's bad. No.
Right.
No. We can't have her. Oh, no, she's doing good. Bad. We have to demonize her. We have to put articles out that make run-of-the-mill centrist Democrats go, I'm not going for her. We have to literally demonize her so bad that on national television we'll go, yeah, any Democrat that goes will win, except, well, Bernie Sanders. If we get to there, we'll figure it out. But, definitely not Tulsi Gabbard.
You talk a lot about strategy, Daniel. There's something I want to bring to everyone's attention. I kind of brought this like a little bit before the show and sometimes last week too. I have a few friends who live in Iowa. And you know what they've been telling me? They've been seeing a lot of Tulsi Gabbard signs. And even in New Hampshire, too, all those events that she was at, it was gaining a lot of attention from the local media and people all over that state. So those are 2 key primary states, Iowa and then New Hampshire. And Tulsi Gabbard has left a very clear, memorable footprint for all those voters and constituents. And remember, too, just looking at 2016, granted, 46.9% of the American population chose not to vote. But for the people who did turn out to vote, yeah, Clinton won the popular vote. But in those key electoral college states, conservative Republican voters turned out higher in mass, and those states went to Donald Trump. Now, if we're looking at a person who has the ability to turn potential red states or states that the Democrats lost to blue, Tulsi Gabbard is that person, be part of a coalition or a winning ticket. Tulsi Gabbard is getting a lot of people interested in her policies and her ideas. And not to mention, too, we covered this yesterday. Tulsi Gabbard, once again, being consistent. She voted against Donald Trump's ridiculous military defense budget for his Space Force and all that other bullshit. Tulsi Gabbard is a progressive and an independent congresswoman who's able to call out the hypocrisy of both sides of the aisle. And a lot of Americans are sick and tired of the Democratic and Republican establishments continually to kowtow to the corporate interests. 40% from 2016, 40% of Americans identify themselves as independents, and that number is rising. And Tulsi Gabbard is attracting all those like-minded individuals to her cause and to her campaign. Daniel.
Yeah. So another thing that we want to go into is like we've done polls with our own audience to figure out a lot of people. I would actually describe our channel predominantly as Bernie supporters who want Tulsi as a VP, and then our second most common group of people is Tulsi supporters who want Bernie Sanders as a VP. So it's a kind of a nice kind of give or take. So very much Tulsi and Sanders people, I would say, still are the closest aligned of just about any candidate out there. So with that in mind, another thing that we have to think about is right now, the way it's trending, it could always change. And right now we're in the present, we're today. But right now, Bernie is in the lead. The only way really Tulsi I see can come in and really become a leading candidate is if Bernie Sanders drops out for whatever reason, then she can really fill that gap very quickly. But take that away. The thing that I also think they're trying to do is they see her popularity and they're trying to poison her relationship so that no one would want to take her on as VP or Secretary of State. If she's there, if she's in any administration, you have a strong voice that we know from experience will speak out against wars and try everything that they can to get things done. That costs a lot of very important people that donate to these companies and to the party a lot of money. So it's not just that they're trying to stop her from winning or get people to, they want to make her toxic so that no one wants to touch her.
But I think it's also starting to backfire too, because more people are interested in what Tulsi Gabbard is saying. Because let's remember, she's able to call out the DNC for its hypocrisy. She stood up to Hillary Clinton when Clinton smeared her by calling her a Russian asset. She has never backed down. And on top of that too, she made a very courageous and strategic decision on December 9th to basically state, I will not participate in the 6th Democratic debate. And because these polls are skewed in favor for establishment candidates, Tulsi, in theory, could have attended. She did qualify in 2 outstanding legitimate polls, YouGov poll for South Carolina, and then the other Boston Globe poll, where she went above 4%. So Tulsi Gabbard has a following, and she has made herself a name for people to remember. I think it's very important that we see through the hypocrisy of corporate media and read through the headlines. Yes, even I was fooled for a little bit in regards to how this nice article by CNN presented Tulsi Gabbard. But once you read through the lines, you got to see their message. They're trying to make Tulsi Gabbard toxic. And for us, thankfully here, we're able to see through it. We hope that other people see through it too, because Tulsi Gabbard has a message and it's resonating with a lot of people. Paul, what's the final word?
Yeah, I think the one thing that has remained unsaid in this story is centrist media and the Democratic Party proving regularly now, and this is yet another example of that they would rather give Trump another term than run with a progressive candidate.
Yeah. All right.
Can I add one very quick thing? Okay. So you know what would be really terrify the mainstream press in the Democratic Party? Bernie Sanders takes away the first 4 states. Tulsi, let's say Amy's are talking about Yang in the comments. Yang, they drop out. They endorse Bernie Sanders. They both do their own continued. UBI gets incorporated with Bernie Sanders. Tulsi's foreign policy gets incorporated into Bernie. And then let's just say Elizabeth Warren joins that. You're going to get a lot of people that otherwise might have issues with Bernie. A ticket like that, you're going to have way too much of a base for them to stop. And they are, I think, genuinely very, very worried. Bloomberg's in the race for that reason. The reason that they're even talking about putting Hillary in the race is because they see that this 40-year, more than 40-year at this point, since the 70s, grip on power is slowly slipping and perhaps, maybe, just maybe, much quicker than they want.
You guys are far more optimistic than I am on that point.
Here's the thing. All Tulsi Gabbard is saying to the establishment is surf's up as she hits him upside the head with her surfboard.
Yeah.